Recently, I was invited to Ubisoft Toronto to play Star Wars Outlaws early. I've managed to stay pretty in the dark about the game. I've seen a little bit of discourse here and there, but I knew I was going to play it. It seemed like my type of game. And it's Star Wars. I love Star Wars. And it's been far too long since I got to visit the offices of Ubisoft in Toronto, so I jumped at the opportunity. It's pretty cool. It's a big old building, so much brick. We got to do some pretty fun things. There was a claw machine there filled with Nyx stuffies. That's your little pet companion in the game. And no matter how hard I tried, I could not win one.
Clench it. Oh. It didn't even try. It didn't even try.
It didn't even grab it.
There was no effort.
And then we went to play the game, and by the time I came back, all gone. I want one of those so bad. It's so cute. Also very cute in the game. So after some presentations, we got to play. So let's talk about the game. We didn't get a ton of time with the game. Most of our time was spent in this starport cantina kind of area, a hive of scum and villainy. Controlling the charismatic Kay Vess, I took a gig to go retrieve some intel, which led me down a pretty interesting mission because it was like entirely stealth-based. It had me creeping through areas with guards and trying to distract them and climbing through vents, sending Nyx to open panels so I could shoot at an energy core that would lower a platform to do some minor platforming. During the first part of this, if you got caught at all, you got caught, hands up, and you got to do it again. It was actually surprisingly difficult, which to me is a plus. It wasn't just a tacked on stealth thing. I actually really enjoyed the stealth segment, and there are a lot of ways to take it, many different routes. After I failed quite a few times, like I lost count of how many times I failed going one way, I finally gave in and went another way, which was literally just walking right behind these two guards as they walked down a staircase and eventually knocking one out, which I didn't even realize you could do. And I went, oh, that would make things easier if I could take out a guard. I should note that none of this is my footage. Unfortunately, we were not allowed to capture. So you're just looking at trailer footage and general B-roll gameplay. Despite putting my Sam Fisher skills to the test, I eventually got seen, but it was at a part where I was allowed to be seen. It just meant that it was time to go guns blazing. This game isn't a shooter. At least from my experience, it was a lot more about interacting with the environment and characters and stealth missions and parkour and discovering things in the environment than it was about getting into a lot of combat. I obviously can't speak to the full game, but something tells me that's what's going to set it apart from a lot of other games in this space. It's a Ubisoft title, right? So we're used to what they make. We're used to go to a tower, unlock a new area, and I'll say it doesn't really feel like that, which I think has been a while for a Ubisoft game. Obviously, there's elements of that. You have an open world you can explore, which I did a bit of. I managed to get on my speeder bike and roam around. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. This mission, I finished the mission up by doing a bit of lock picking, which is kind of just pressing to the beat. You'll see a lock spin and there's a vibration pattern. So it might be like, and you got to just hit them all or as many as possible because for every one you miss, you kind of get knocked back a peg. It was a unique way to do it, and it definitely trips you up sometimes. I don't think it's that fun of a mechanic looking at like an Elder Scrolls lockpicking, but it's all right. Could be more annoying. And I also had to do some data splicing, which was literally Wordle. I didn't realize it until my friend Caboose pointed it out.
Terrible angle. My video's cooler.
You guys know the game Wordle. It's just symbols, 4 symbols, and it'll tell you if one of them is right, but in the wrong place, or totally right, and you only have so many attempts until you get the password. I'm like, oh, that's kind of fun. It's a fun little thing to do to hack into a computer. But I got the files and then had the choice of who to give the information to, making friends or enemies with different factions. This is a very core element to the game because it will open up or lock off a lot of things. I know there was at least one hallway that I couldn't go down because it said your reputation with these guys is too low. So at least it's not arbitrary. I'd say a ton of games that use a system like this, some kind of reputation system, it's kind of arbitrary. Like it doesn't matter that much. Might make people a little madder at you or something, right? But there's some benefits to this. So I've done this quest. We're in this cramped cantina space, and it's just so detailed. It's so packed. There are so many characters wandering about. Everyone has a quest for you, more so than I can remember in any game I think I've ever played, genuinely. Like everyone had something to say or listen to, and it just really felt vibrant and thriving. And games. Gambling. Now that I had some money from that job, I went to go spend it, but a scraggly looking alien was like, hey, you, come over here, help me out. They lost all their money gambling and wanted a handout. I could do none, 50 credits, or 500 credits. I felt pretty loaded, so I gave them 500 credits. And they're like, I won't let you down. Come back later. I didn't get to see the fruits of that labor, but I have a feeling something cool will come from that. Maybe they win a ton, but it's just a little interaction. You could totally miss it. I almost kept walking just to keep things moving, but I was like, no, I really want to know what that person's talking to me about. I bet on a digital horse race. I won. Let's go. And I tried out Sabacc, which is not a new card game to the Star Wars universe. I mostly understood the rules. I figured it out as I went. It pretty much has to do with holding 2 cards and hoping to swap your card for a different card that makes them equal. So one minuses the other and you want to be at 0. If someone else knows better, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was kind of the point. It's 3 rounds. I started off strong and then it was all downhill from there and I lost all my money. I mentioned that I got to explore a bit of the world. I took my speeder bike out onto the plains. You can just summon it when you're out there and it will appear behind you. And I stopped at a gas station. Inside the gas station, I could overhear what people were talking about. And they were talking about a lost treasure behind a waterfall. I'm like, yeah. So I went out kind of far, found the waterfall, found a note saying it was already taken, which led me to another place and led me to another place. It was kind of cool. And this all spawned from going in there and overhearing a conversation and then it triggers a quest. I emphasize that this really seems to be the game. This is what separates it from most games of this sort, is there are so many characters and so many side quests and just things to do. It's such a living world, at least in my small experience. Now, unfortunately for me, I didn't have time to play anymore. I didn't get to space travel. I was right there. The reason that I couldn't get to spaceflight was I had an interview. I got to interview the narrative director on the project. Check it out, and then we'll talk about spaceflight. Spaceflight in Star Wars Outlaws. How does it work? What's it about? I got my friend Dapper Tux, who was also there, to send me his thoughts. Take it away, Dapper.
Hey everyone, I'm Dapper Tux. I got a small vertical slice of Star Wars Outlaws at Ubisoft Toronto when it came to the flying section. So when I was trying it out, where it began was, of course, you get on the ship as Kay Vess, have a seat in your pilot seat, and then you just lift off. From that section, from the actual landing point to going into the clouds, into the stars, you are on rails, so you can't necessarily fly over the planet, but you do get to take off, go through the clouds, then hit the stars. Once you are in the stars though, you and Nix are zipping around. There was a section that I got to play in where I was just sort of battling a little bit, doing a few dogfights with about 3 to 4 other ships. Overall, I found the ship flying very robust. I had access at that point in the game to lasers as well as like torpedoes or missiles. It was pretty cool though because I could fly around. There was different ways to kind of like dodge enemies as well too. So I enjoyed the ship fighting, and once I got through sort of the group of ships that were trying to block me, I was able to land seamlessly on another planet. Once again, from the stars coming through, I could move left to right. I was still on rails, and then finally just landing and then seamlessly coming right off the ship, walking onto the planet. But overall, I really enjoyed the ship aspect. Very small vertical slice that I experienced, but overall, I'm really looking forward to playing a lot more, along with Nix.
It does sound awesome. While at Ubisoft Toronto, we got to see some cool things. The motion capture studio was a ton of fun to mess around in. We got to play with all the props like swords and spears, and apparently this spear, actually the one they use in Assassin's Creed.
The spear from Assassin's Creed.
One of them could have been Odyssey or something. Hearing the mocap directors and actors talk about their experience is so cool. That seems like such a fun job. They love what they do.
If you took the glasses off, does it take the whole head off? Or would it confuse the model?
Try it. Wait, hold on.
His head is twisted up.
Playing around with the camera in real time. It was just really cool. I also got to sit on the speeder bike. They also use this for the game. Super cool trip. So thanks so much to Ubisoft Toronto for having us. I know everybody had a great time. Star Wars Outlaws comes out on August 30th, almost here. So I'm excited to play more because it really seems like it's story first, atmosphere first, and it really feels like there's a lot of care put into this title. Everyone working on the project is so excited to be working on it, and that's always a good sign. So we'll see how it fares. I'm going to play it. Curious your thoughts about the game. Are you excited? Let me know. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like, hit subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you next video.